He said he would take Kobe over me because, 5 rings is better than 1. Rings does not define someone's career.
I don't know why it's discussed so much in our sport. Sit here and tell me, Allen Iverson and Charles Barkley and Steve Nash, wasn't unbelievable. Like, oh, they can't be talked about or discussed with these guys because this guy won 1 ring or won 2 rings.
Yeah, we got to talk about this one, man. Now that the NBA Finals is over, OKC's the champion. I really want to get into what LeBron James said. It had the internet on fire, or at least the online NBA community, and then it spilled out into sports talk shows. And look, SGA winning NBA MVP, even if he lost, the fact that he led his team to the finals and got that MVP, that's already more than enough to put him in that Basketball Hall of Fame. So let's tie this all into what LeBron James is saying. It was very important for me to show that clip or the audio that you heard at the beginning, and then what LeBron James said recently on the podcast he does with Steve Nash, because he's been consistent with this position. Whether you agree with it or not, you think it's right, wrong, whatever the case is, he's been consistent. And I've seen a lot of people bashing him for it, saying, nah, he's only saying that because he sees that he's not going to be able to get 6 like Michael Jordan. I believe he already probably knew that deep down, that somebody playing at a superstar level, getting 6 rings, 6 out of 6 especially, was difficult. So I'm of the belief he was probably looking at it like, all right, I'm gonna try to get some. I know it's still important, but ultimately let me get a few and then say, hey, at the end of the day, I got some championships, but that's not all what it's about. That's what I think he really meant, at least in my opinion. You can let me know in the comment section if you agree or disagree on that one.
It's like my rules. Hey, I'm in the Hall of Fame, but I'm in a different wing than the guys who won the championship. I mean,
still in the Hall of Fame, though.
I know, yeah, but I'm saying though, Jack, hey, I understand. I understand the rules. Like, Charles is great, Karl Malone's great, Patrick Ewing's great. They're not at the table with Magic, Bird, LeBron, Kobe.
I love these comments that Charles Barkley made, and it gets to the main point of why I made this video. If you think I'm leaning towards LeBron James on this, you're wrong. I actually prefer Charles Barkley's perspective. I think far too many times nowadays you have players who they come in, they get about 20 points per game for several seasons, and that's really all they have to do. Pad the stats, maybe win a scoring title or 2, and that's enough to automatically say not only are they a great player, which I'm fine with, but then they automatically make the Hall of Fame. So if we're going off of Charles Barkley's philosophy, this is how I see it. You have an NBA Hall of Fame section and then an honorable mention. And I understand that can come across as disrespectful towards guys who are already in it, but I'm just going with what Charles Barkley did, who's already a Hall of Famer. So when I look at players, for example, like let's say Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady, especially McGrady, flat out superstar when it came to scoring the ball. But if you don't have a championship to show for that skill set, at the very least, you need to have a career of long, consistent playoff runs. Somebody like a Reggie Miller, for example. And just so that nobody's confused, the reason why I'm focusing so much on this Hall of Fame aspect in this video right now is because a player with a high skill set, once they get a championship, that is the defining factor that separates them from someone else who's very skilled, maybe even more skilled than they are, but they have the championship to show for it. That's why it matters so much, even if LeBron is trying to make the point that everyone is in the same boat, regardless of how many rings they have.
What defines greatness? Is it the championship?
That's one of the elements.
I mean,
in some cases, yeah.
I don't see anything he said wrong. I didn't see your response, but for me, we have too many talented players that come through this league that are championship worthy. What I mean by that, if you take them off a team that is a championship quality team, replace me with Kobe with Shaq. I don't win a championship. You don't think I could carry the Lakers to a championship? Like, I've never had the opportunity.
Correct.
So do I get diminished because I never won a championship?
As you hear, Tracy McGrady is backing up what LeBron James said. He uses the word diminish. That's where this is getting a little bit confusing for people who may agree with LeBron. It's not that we're diminishing these players, whether it's the fans, people in the media, or even other NBA players who are trying to hold a certain standard. It's like, for example, I wouldn't compare Steve Kerr to Tracy McGrady, even though Steve Kerr got a bunch of rings as a player, because I know the skill set that Kerr had was nowhere near what Tracy McGrady does. However, if I compare McGrady to, let's say, Scottie Pippen, and he wasn't the driver or the main leader of the team, MJ was, but he was still the second best player and had a bunch of skills of his own, that's more of a fair comparison, and I would lean towards Scottie Pippen since he has the 6 rings to back it up. Jordan didn't win until Scottie Pippen came around.
The one who's leading the team, that's the gold member right there. That ring counts. The second option ring, that's silver when no one respects it. In history, no one has respected.
Scottie Pippen's the
You got
example
Scottie
of that.
Pippen with 6 rings that's ranked on the all-time list 32. Right? You got people that don't have rings that's in front of them.
And Gilbert Arenas hit it right on the head. If we're going to celebrate this championship culture so much, then we need to do a much, much better job in elevating the guys who weren't necessarily a number 1 option. At the very least, they were maybe a second, third option, but still also played a vital role in getting that championship, period. Somebody like Jalen Williams, for example, who could have won Finals MVP this year. Now let's bring it back full circle to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and bring up also Anthony Edwards in the mix. 2 players who are probably fighting for the face of the league, though it looks like SGA is going to take this one as of right now. If we put his championship aside, SGA, somebody could make the argument that Anthony Edwards is the better player if we're talking strictly just talent-wise and what each of them could do. Anthony Edwards is a bit of a better 3-point shooter than SGA is. Anthony Edwards has a mid-range game as well. He can attack the basket, his athleticism, finish around the rim. I also believe he's a better defender one-on-one than SGA is when it comes to just locking down and playing great on-ball defense. That's not to say Shai is not a good defender himself. I just believe overall Anthony Edwards will do more on that side of the ball. However, with all that being said, they are so relatively close when it comes to an argument like this. And what is now the defining factor? Not only did SGA beat the Timberwolves, he went on to win the championship. That is the main point of this kind of argument. My conclusion in this matter would be LeBron James does make very valid points. However, in the end, when it's all said and done, a superstar with a championship will always be looked at least a little bit different, if not a lot more, than a superstar who didn't get it. And I don't think that's totally unfair. I'll give one more example so you really understand where I'm coming from. Kevin Garnett is my favorite player of all time, even more than Tim Duncan. If I'm making an all-time great power forward list, I still got Tim Duncan number 1. Why? The championships. It's hard to get around that. All right? Let me know in the comment section what y'all think of this whole argument. SGA winning the ring, how much does it matter? How much does his ring mean? Beating the Pacers and even his run to get to the finals, taking out the Timberwolves, the Denver Nuggets, and overall what you think of the video. Like, share, and subscribe. Comment below. And as always, salute for listening. Peace.
But, you know, I don't never respond to a guy that's never won a championship. There's not nothing to really say. He didn't win a college championship. I don't know if he even won a high school championship. So